Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, from coast to coast. This is Walter Hartley speaking with a special bulletin from the WINRAD Broadcasting Service. The war in the Middle East has entered its 16th day. Iran has launched hypersonic missiles at Israel. Isfahan is burning. The world's racing circuits have canceled races in the Gulf. And the President of the United States says he is not ready to make a deal. We take you first to our Washington correspondent, Edward James Whitmore. Edward?
Thank you, Walter. Good evening, America. President Trump told NBC News in a phone interview today that Iran wants to make a deal, but that he is not ready for one because the terms are not good enough yet. He repeated that he is working with other countries on a plan to secure passage through the Strait of Hormuz, calling it a team effort and urging nations that depend on Gulf oil to send warships. He posted on Truth Social that the United States has beaten and completely decimated Iran both militarily and economically, and told the countries of the world that they must take care of the passage themselves, with American help. He also said the United States would be bombing the shoreline. When asked whether he would consider a ceasefire, the president declined. The White House released new figures today claiming Iran's ballistic missile capability has been reduced by approximately 90% and its drone capability by 95% since the war began. Officials say the United States has sunk more than 65 Iranian naval vessels and struck over 6,000 targets across the country. Israel has approved an emergency defense budget of 2.6 billion shekels, roughly $826 million, for what it calls urgent and essential defense procurement. This comes after a report by the news outlet Semaphore that Israel informed the United States this week it is running critically low on ballistic missile interceptors. Israel's foreign minister denied the report, insisting that both nations share the goal of continuing the war until all objectives are achieved. The Israeli military says it planned for a long war and is running through fewer interceptors than anticipated, but the emergency budget tells its own story. Back to you, Walter.
Thank you, Edward. We go now to our foreign affairs correspondent, Theodore Charles Bennett. Theodore?
Thank you, Walter. Heavy airstrikes pounded the Isfahan area in the early hours of this morning, with at least 20 explosions reported near Shiraz, heavy blasts in southern Tehran, and strikes on Dezful Air Base, Khomein, and Hamedan. A video circulating on social media shows extensive damage from an airstrike at the port of Jask in Hormozgan province. Residents throughout the country report increased deployment of security forces. Iran has confirmed that Brigadier General Jalali Nasab, a senior military figure, was killed in an Israeli attack, adding to the already staggering list of commanders eliminated since the opening day, including the IRGC Commander-in-Chief, the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces, and the Defense Minister. Tehran's governor has now reported that at least 10,000 residential homes have been damaged or completely destroyed by the strikes. More than 1,400 people have been killed and over 18,500 injured in Iran since February the 28th. Iran responded overnight with what the Revolutionary Guard called another wave of retaliatory strikes. At least 10 hypersonic missiles were launched, along with an unspecified number of drones. The targets included American forces at Dhafra Air Base in the United Arab Emirates and sites in Israel. Sirens sounded in central Israel early this morning as multiple barrages struck the country. 7 separate salvos have been fired at Israel since midnight. A man in his 60s was moderately injured in central Israel by glass shards from a cluster bomb warhead. 4 others were lightly injured. Iran has been adding cluster munitions to its ballistic missiles, scattering submunitions across residential areas upon impact, starting fires and damaging apartment buildings. Israel says it has killed 2 senior Iranian intelligence officials, though it has released no further details.
Theodore, what is the situation across the region and at sea tonight?
Walter, the war continues to spill across borders. In Lebanon, the death toll has risen to at least 826 since Israel renewed widespread attacks on March the 2nd. An Israeli airstrike on a healthcare center in Burj Kalawiye killed 12 medical staff, including doctors, nurses, and paramedics. An Israeli strike killed an entire family in southern Lebanon's Qantara, including 2 children. Hezbollah says it is ready for a long confrontation. In the Gulf, the United Arab Emirates says its air defenses intercepted 9 ballistic missiles and 33 drones launched from Iran on Saturday. A fire broke out at Fujairah, a major bunkering hub, after debris fell during the interception of a drone, injuring a Jordanian citizen. Oil loading operations at Fujairah were interrupted but resumed today. Iran's Revolutionary Guard urged residents of the UAE to evacuate ports and docks. Falling debris struck a building in central Dubai. Qatar intercepted 4 ballistic missiles and several drones. 3 Kuwaiti soldiers were injured when 2 drones struck Ahmed al-Jaber Air Base. Jordan's air defenses intercepted 79 of 85 missiles and drones launched from Iran during the past week. Saudi Arabia continues to intercept drones daily. And Walter, 2 developments that speak to how far this war has reached. Formula One and its governing body announced today that the Grand Prix races in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia will not take place in April due to safety concerns. MotoGP has postponed its Qatar race to November. The USS Nimitz, one of the largest warships in the world, has had its service life extended to March of 2027, nearly a year beyond its scheduled decommissioning because of the conflict. Iran's internet blackout has now entered its 16th day and 360th hour. The government continues to whitelist access for selected influencers, while state media reports a new wave of arrests targeting citizens who use Starlink satellite internet. Iran's foreign minister spoke today with France's foreign minister, insisting that the United States and Israel are the main source of insecurity in the region and calling on other countries to condemn the attacks and avoid deepening the conflict. Ali Larijani, Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, issued a remarkable statement on social media today, warning that he has heard of an alleged plot to stage a September 11th-style attack and falsely blame it on Iran. He said Tehran opposes such terrorist acts in principle and is not at war with the American people. And outside the White House yesterday, hundreds of Iranian Americans rallied in support of the president's strikes, wearing red hats that read, "Make Iran Great Again." One protester said the Iranian people will finish this regime if Trump keeps the pressure from the skies. Back to you, Walter.
Thank you, Theodore. Thank you, Edward. Ladies and gentlemen, 16 days. Hypersonic missiles over Tel Aviv. Cluster bombs falling on apartment buildings. Isfahan in ruins. 10,000 homes destroyed. 826 dead in Lebanon. 1,400 dead in Iran. 65 warships on the bottom of the sea. The Nimitz staying in service because they cannot afford to lose her. Formula One will not race in the Gulf. Iran's internet has been dark for 360 hours. And the president says the terms are not good enough yet. We shall continue to bring you developments as they occur. This has been a special bulletin from the WinRad Broadcasting Service. I am Walter Hartley. Stay close to your radio. And now from the home front.
Hello, ladies. This is Dorothy Wilson. Well, it is Sunday, and I do not know about you, but I could use a Sunday. The kind where you do not turn the television on until after lunch. The kind where you put something in the oven and let it fill the house with something good. So here is what I have for you tonight. A pot roast. Now, I know what you are thinking. Dorothy, the prices. I know, ladies. But here is the truth. A chuck roast is still one of the most affordable cuts of beef you can buy, and it will feed your family twice, maybe 3 times if you stretch it. You need a 3-pound chuck roast. Salt, pepper, and a little flour. 2 tablespoons of oil or bacon drippings if you have them. 4 or 5 carrots, peeled and cut into big pieces. 4 or 5 potatoes, quartered. An onion, cut into wedges. 2 or 3 cloves of garlic, smashed. A cup of beef broth or even just water with a little better than bouillon stirred in. And a sprig of rosemary or thyme if you have it in the garden. Season your roast with salt and pepper and dust it with flour. Heat your oil in a heavy pot. A Dutch oven is ideal. And brown that roast on all sides until it has a nice dark crust. Do not rush this part. That crust is where all the flavor lives. Take the roast out and set it aside. Toss in your onion and garlic and let them cook for a minute or 2. Pour in your broth and scrape up all those brown bits from the bottom. Put the roast back in. Tuck your carrots and potatoes all around it. Add your herbs. Put the lid on and slide it into the oven at 325 degrees for about 3 hours. 3 hours, ladies. That is 3 hours you can spend doing something else. Reading, resting, sitting on the porch, writing a letter to someone you have not talked to in too long. And when you open that oven door, the whole house will smell the way a house is supposed to smell on a Sunday. The meat will fall apart with a fork. The vegetables will be soft and rich. And everybody at that table will feel like something in the world is still right. That is what Sunday is for. You take care of yours. God bless, and good night.